Do you remember the great bacon shortage of 2017? And we thought that was scary. In 2021, we're low on everything from gasoline to houses. And bacon, again. Let's look at what's experiencing a shortage, why, and how you can protect your wallet from extra pain. You know it's getting nuts out there when the federal government asks us not to put gasoline into plastic bags. And you've watched my video that explained the semiconductor shortage. If not, it's in the upper right hand. So here's how all the chaos will impact you. The most important question is the one that gets asked first. WTF is going on with bacon? This new pork shortage is a byproduct of the pandemic. When COVID outbreaks closed down the meat processors, hundreds of thousands of hogs intended for human consumption were sadly euthanized. That was last year. That put the livestock industry on its heels even before this year's surge in demand. I don't have to tell you, Americans are eager to make the most of summer this year. What's more American than a backyard cookout? Expect this higher than normal demand and lower than normal supply to hit your wallet this summer for everything from pork to canned beer. That's because any disruption to the supply chain isn't a quick fix. We're talking complex logistical systems here. This isn't like using a pencil eraser to make a change to your mini golf scorecard. Take semis. Chips might visit 50 different sites during their creation process. Imagine coordinating all these machines, people, and shipping networks to adapt to a change in consumer demand. Have you heard the expression herding cats? It takes time. There's a lag in a producer's response. That lag is called the Bullwhip Effect. And these supply chains are usually quite resilient. They can meet the new demand, but it could take weeks or months or even longer before we, the consumers, see the response in a tangible way. It's called bullwhip because there's a time delay between when a traditional matador flicks his wrist while he's holding a whip, and then the tip of that whip smacking into the ground. For instance, imagine if there was a sudden rush on toilet paper. I know, it would never actually happen, right? This would involve a regional store requesting big orders from a distributor. The distributor requests bigger orders from manufacturers, and the manufacturer panicking, trying to figure out how to keep everybody downstream happy. And there's a cost involved in being wrong for each of these decision makers. Say it's a perishable good. Should the manufacturer send 10% more to the store than they normally would? What if the demand isn't there by the time the product finally reaches the store? Expiration of product and financial losses will happen. That's the bullwhip effect, causing lag and interfering with efficient decision making. Those manufacturers will get their product to us, but will it be in time? We will have bacon again, just like we will once again have our choice of 20 different toilet paper brands. But this bullwhip analogy was first coined by Procter & Gamble regarding diaper sales. It's an easy way to understand why there is demand confusion in supply logistics. How many rolls of toilet paper did you hoard as the lockdowns began? Let me know down in the comments down below and we'll see who hoarded the most. For every, let's say, 10 comments I get on this video, in the month of June, I will plant a tree to help us regrow all that paper pulp. What else is costing extra money? How about the price of lumber? Lumber mills reduced their capacity when the virus first emerged. They were anticipating an economic recession and they needed to socially distance their workforce. What those mills got instead of a recession was record housing demand paired with a housing shortage. Lumber prices tripled in a year, and processors and mills have not been able to keep up with the unending demand. The shortage has been exacerbated by years of extreme wildfires in the West, reducing the supply of timber that these mills could process in the first place. Expect high lumber prices to impact everything from new houses to fence repairs to furniture for the next 3 or 4 years. What else could go wrong? Gasoline. You saw the gasoline shortage, right? In the Southeast US, that had people in a panic. Folks were desperate to purchase gas. They were filling up extra gas in plastic containers. And the government had to warn us that plastic bags aren't for fuel. That shortage was a result of a ransomware attack on the pipe's owner, Colonial Pipeline. Cybercriminals. The hack stopped the flow of gasoline to a dozen states. And in typical bullwhip fashion, even when the pipeline began flowing again, it took days to catch up to consumer demand. This was more of a disruption than a shortage, but it's a good reminder of how much we all depend on these invisible efficiencies within the supply chain. And at the same time, there's a shortage of gasoline, there's a shortage of cars. If you watch my semiconductor shortage video, you already understand the supply chain issues at play. In short, there aren't enough semi manufacturers globally to produce the world's demand for chips. New cars aren't being built, driving up the prices like crazy on all cars, including used ones. And fun fact, rental cars are commanding outrageous prices as competition heats up for what little supply is left, because rental car companies sold off their inventory during the lockdown. You know a huge reason why? There was nowhere to park them all. Look, maybe their logistic teams are solid. I'm sure they looked at future demand after the pandemic, but there was just nothing to do with the cars instead of selling them. But in hindsight, maybe you've gotten a text from your car dealer asking you to sell your car to them. This isn't uncommon in these uncommon times. I went with my buddy to look at a Toyota truck the other day. 2018 Tacoma with 20,000 miles cost more than a brand new, undriven 2021 Tacoma because the brand new ones won't arrive at the dealership for 2 more months. I'm not kidding you, true story. My buddy ended up reserving a truck that isn't scheduled to be built for 2 more weeks. Then it's another month before it even gets to the dealer. And he saved $4,000 in the process. The used truck is more expensive because you get it today. That's what shortages do to pricing. Let's expect these inflated auto prices to stay full court press until the semiconductor situation resolves itself. So look, do these shortages stick around? Is this inflation? What's up with the Fed calling this transitory and temporary? Well, there are a few things to consider. One, yes, you look at the used car price chart and you can clearly see that prices tanked in March of 2020. And then once stimulus hit, they rose sharply. Two, federal stimulus will eventually pull back. And all of this consumer stimulus could only go to durable goods for the last year, not services like restaurants and concerts. That's about to revert back too. And third, global shipping companies have been challenged by COVID restrictions. As the vaccines get administered, maybe these global shipping lanes loosen up. If these 3 things happen, maybe inflation is transitory. Or maybe it isn't. Isn't everything transitory in some sense, just based on the length of the timeline? It's too easy for the Fed, who embarrassed themselves at times in their response to the financial crisis, for them to now ease up on fiscal stimulus. Print the money, buy the bonds. Seen any news stories about the price of houses recently? How about this? Go back to the toilet paper example. Have you bought that recently? Or paper towels? I don't remember exactly what I paid for paper towels in 2019, but apparently it was about 30% less than what I'm currently paying. That's inflation, folks, and those paper companies have no incentive to lower the price if the demand is constant at this price from here on out. What if the same happens for lumber mills? How much higher do you think the MSRP on brand new vehicles will be next year, now that automakers have seen how high customers are willing to pay? Check out my farmland REIT video. Check out my 5 stocks to beat inflation video. Go take a look at my dissection of the carbon ETF. If inflation is coming, you should hedge your bets now. I already have. And guess what? If it doesn't happen, many of these are great market performing investments anyway. Have you all experienced any of these bullwhip supply chain effects? Thank you for joining. Don't forget to let me know in the comments how much toilet paper you hoarded, and I'll see you on the next one.